I'm big.
So big.
I'm really, really, really big. I'm gigantic.
Gigantic.
Did I mention I was big? I'm taller than the tallest tree. No one here's as tall as me, 'cause I'm big. I'm really very big.
Wander breaches the Forbidden Lands with his seemingly dead lady friend Mono, chasing a premonition of revival. With Wander, we'll wander yonder to save Mono, and go mano a mano with 16 Colossos. Once all the giants are slain, well, we'll see what happens. This isn't really open world, in the sense that we don't choose our order of exploration. Instead, as the disembodied voice of Dorman explains, we raise our sword aloft and follow the sunlight's reflection toward the next target. Early on, this will be fairly straightforward, literally, but later the finding will take some doing as the direct path of the light beam inevitably leads to a dead end or a cliff that we need to circumnavigate. Otherwise, in this vast land, there are saved shelters scattered around as checkpoints, trees with fruits we can eat to increase our health, and lizards with white tails we can also eat, I guess, to improve our grip strength on climbable surfaces. We don't really need to get these bonuses to beat the fairly easy game, but they will let us cling together better as we execute our tactics against these ogres. There's one secret spot in the game intended for grippiest climbers only, which we'll cover at the end. Right now, we stride out onto the grasslands from the Shrine of Worship, where we'll return after each battle, and we illuminate our first destination straight ahead. This open stretch lets us familiarize ourselves with commanding our loyal steed, but to keep things simple, Agro won't participate in this first battle. Across the valley, a little cutscene reassures us we're at the right place, but we need to climb to the actual arena, so that means no go for Agro. Our first route does stop to the tooltips, and our first brute does stomps at the tip-top. During battle, the sword beam identifies vital points of a Colossus. These special sigils glow blue so we can climb to them, and I'm sorry about this, but we then repeatedly stab the poor guys to death. There's big sigils that deal damage to their life bar, and smaller marks that irritate them into changing their position or their behavior. Usually there are multiple sigils as the fight progresses, forming a sort of puzzle. How do we approach? How do we actually climb on? How do we reach the sigils without falling off? That's the essence. This first one, for example, has one sigil on its calf, reachable directly from the ground. We can jump on and stab to make it kneel down, and use that opportunity to reach the scaffold bits on its back. On normal difficulty, we just climb to the shoulders and up to the head and stab the sigil to kill the beast. On hard mode, we have to detour over to its arm for half the damage. We need basic proficiency in movement and climbing, and we learn the value of hanging on to fur when the colossi go buck wild. After the deed is done, we wake up back at the shrine. Rinse and repeat times 15. Let's talk navigation first, and then dissect the actual encounters. As mentioned, beam number 1 is a straight shot south. Number 2 points north instead, leading us to one of two bridges across the valley, typically the west one. From there, the beam suggests we digress down the cliffside path to this beach, where our quarry awaits behind a big stone wall. Agro gets to participate this time. Number 2 is massive, one of the biggest in the game despite being a quadruped. This means even when Agro's in the mix, we can't just hop aboard. Instead, we need to target the soft glowing spots on the soles of its hooves with our bow when it rears back to crush us, and then use the resulting crumple window to climb up its side. There's one sigil above its tail and one on its head, and the back is pretty easy to walk around on. There's a third hard mode sigil on the left side that might require a couple trips down to finish. Number 3 is vaguely similar to 2 at first, pointing north-northwest. The beam's pretty directly leading across the same bridge through the canyon just ahead, but some players, like me, might take the west bridge on accident and potentially get turned around in the ravine looking for the boss, since there's little sunlight once you're in there. This guy's on a stone platform in the middle of a lake atop a broken climb, so no Agro again. Number 3 is tall and thin, with a long blunt weapon held prominently in its right hand. It's not very good with that thing. It just does these slow overhead smashes that leave it stuck in the ground for a moment, inviting us to climb uponst. But it also has this big cuff, so we can't climb aboard while it's there. Fortunately, around the arena are these stone plates that don't give when smashed, so if we entice it to swing at one of them, the reverberation will shatter the cuff and open a climbing route up its arm. Or stick this sick time attack trick tactic. Once there, we're in good shape, with a sigil on its head once again and another down on its stomach. After we give it a navel piercing, it's done, except on hard mode where it's got a third on its left elbow. Depending on which we do first, we can easily climb down to it or make a daring leap from its waistline. Number 4 is pretty easy to find off to the east of the temple in a secluded little grove. If we take the wrong northern path, it'll become obvious quickly that our beam is pointing us into a wall. Number 4 is a puzzle boss, not too threatening in the field, but not too easy to damage either. It has long, tall legs like a giraffe, so even leaping from Agro's back will have a hard time getting on from the ground. However, there are 2 tunnels running under its arena to hide in. The idea is to get its attention, run from one tunnel entrance to another while it's investigating, and climb up its tail before it stands back up. The main sigil is on its head as usual, but there's enough ornate stone capital around its neck that we can't just climb up. Instead, we need to poke the minor sigil on its neck so it drops its head, providing a quick route to scramble down. Note that it's also possible to leap onto one of its earring things from the hilltop with perfect timing, faster but not necessarily easier. On hard mode, there are 2 more sigils on either side of its neck near the trapezii, very shaky areas. Kind of like 2 and 3, 4 and 5 are the same general direction, but with 5 a bit further along. This time we do want to take the northern path, as we already know where the other one leads. Just take care not to take the canyon bridge early thinking it's across there. This is our first of 2 airborne colossi, mercifully over a lake of less deadly water, but again, our horse can only observe. Number 5 is fun. Well, the first bit isn't, swimming into the flooded ruins a bit and plinking some arrows at it so it leaves the perch to attack. But then it goes into this forward dive from a distance, gliding low to the surface and giving us an opportunity to either grab one of its furry shoulders and take a ride, or get yeeted across the lake. Once we climb aboard, there aren't many places for the sigils to hide. There are 2 on the leading edges of each wing, and the largest at the end of the tail. The main danger is the rolls it does in reaction to the stabbings, so hang on tight. Number 6 is a long journey through the gloomy autumn forest and past a vast desert. The forest again lacks sunlight, but there are trails we can follow to the other side, and the destination is prominently visible ahead once we hit the open fields again. This one is an indoor battle in an underground cave/temple. Number 6 is the first of 2 Colossus I cousins that we meet. Similar to number 4, we'll need some environmental assistance too. First, to scramble over the ruins in its arena before it destroys them, then to hide at the far end and entice its curiosity. When it drops down to look, grab the beard and we're up. In addition to the usual forehead spot, there's one on its mid-left back that's tricky to deal with, and on hard we'll also have to hop onto its left hand from the ground instead for an extra sigil there. Number 7 kind of hides behind number 3, and the direct beam pushes us toward the shadowy ravine and the stone arch gorge. The easier route is north through the desert and hooking over, but you wouldn't know to take that path the first time through. The arena is at the far end of the canyon, down in the lake, without aggro. Number 7 is our only true swimming colossus. It's a slower-paced battle as we wait for it to surface enough for us to grab onto its back. We then have to make our way up to the head, but there are 3 magnificent spines tossing thunderballs at us, so we need to tag the minor sigils under each along the way to disable it. Number 8 is a straight shot through the cliffs and then around to a large tunnel that takes us to an old ruin where the Colossus resides. Number 8's another puzzle boss, this time based in this tall column arena with stairs around the sides. It has heavy armor plating on its back, and it can climb, so our task is to lure it high enough up the wall that we can run down and shoot 2 of its feet to knock it down onto its back. The 2 weak spots on its underside are unmissable at that point. The higher it climbs, the longer we have before it gets back onto its feet. Number 9's also pretty easy, over that first gorge and then across a smaller bridge onto this hazy old lake bed arena. Number 9 is a massive land turtle hanging out in an old lake bed, and it's vaguely similar to the last one in that we need to unbalance it to make progress. In this case, we can't do it with arrows alone. We need to lure it to one of the geysers first so the water spout temporarily lifts it up onto its hind legs. Then we can shoot the 2 glowing areas to knock it onto its side and climb up its belly. From there, we cross the equator and scoot up the back plates. The only sigil at that point is the customary forehead finisher. Number 10 is generally a straight shot to the west with a little navigation along the cliffs near the end. It's also possible to reach it from the south via a much longer route up through the forest. The Colossus here digs underground. Number 10 is our false swimming Colossus, burrowing through the soft sand of a distant cavern. This time we need to run it aground to deal damage. It's too fast to escape on foot, so we tempt it with aggro until it gives chase, then just before it opens its maw, it'll expose 2 eyes. We have to shoot one of them from horseback and it'll crash momentarily so we can attack each of the 2 sigils, but it'll take at least 2 cycles to finish the job. Number 11 is straight north and pretty easy once we cross the land bridge. When we arrive, we have to dismount and descend into the sunken desert canyon. Number 11 is the first of 2 small ossi, and both are extremely aggressive. This one has a fancy chamber that it likes to haunt with some burning torches conspicuously placed. We quickly determine that it can't be damaged directly. However, we might discover that if we climb one of the torches to escape its wrath, a stick can be dislodged by its charge. Through our ancestral memories of eco, we are skilled with burning torches, so we fetch and light the stick and cause the beast to retreat from the flames. We can drive it all the way back to the cliff at the back of the altar and force it over the edge to the canyon below, where its back armor shatters. Finally, in said canyon, there's too much open space and it's too untamed to stab it, even if we climb on, so we need to lure it all the way back into this room to give us a chance to do so. Number 12 is finally an excuse to use the northeastern land bridge near the shrine. As we cross another and approach the arena, we'll have to dismount again and climb around some ruins to reach the lake where it resides. Number 12 is our only true wading Colossus, looming out of the water like a mobile island. There's an inviting fur carpet to climb up from the water's surface if we manage to swim around to its back, but when we climb up, we surprisingly find no sigils. There are, however, some big glowing teeth things in its crown that redirect its movement when struck. So we can hit those and steer it around, and eventually we jump onto one of the upper levels of these island ruins that can't be reached from the ground. There's cover there from its projectiles if we hide, and eventually it gets frustrated enough to pounce out of the water, exposing its vulnerable sigil on its belly. Number 13 runs through the autumn forest, where it's shady, but beyond is the blasted lands where the sun is glaring. The Colossus can be spotted above out near this arch in the desert. Number 13 is my personal favorite, and not just because it's evident what to do and how to do it. We've seen the glowing green areas on Colossi are sensitive, and this one has 3 big sacs on its underside that we can tag with arrows. That'll bring it down to our altitude momentarily, and we can make a daring leap from aggro onto its fins. From there, the 3 sigils are distributed along its back, and it has the ability to roll and burrow in response to repeated stabbings as usual, so we'll be repeating them out 2 or 3 times. But if we don't just stab it, it's pretty dang majestic up there. Number 14 is on the opposite side of the Stone Arch Gorge from number 3, past the Umbral Glade. This can be another one that's tough to find due to sporadic sunlight, and it's through a cave our horse can't navigate. Number 14 is our second and final Smolossus, with another armor-cracking opening sequence. We need to first climb the ruins and make our way over to a balcony, using arrows to keep its attention. It'll even charge and knock down columns for us to create paths along. This is all easier said than done, as we won't survive long on the ground, and riding the falling columns down can be unpredictable. At the balcony, its charge brings the stone down on itself and breaks its armor. Then we need to coax another charge or 2 into sturdy surfaces to stun the Colossus and give us a chance to hop on its back and stab the sigil. Number 15 hides behind number 12, but the path is otherwise direct as long as we remember not to cross 12's bridge to the waterfalls. The Colossus will emerge at the far end of the ruins beyond. Number 15 is the big mean cousin to numbers 1 and 6. To climb this one, we work the ruins on either side while it stomps and thwomps, raising ledges and dropping blocks. At the top, it smashes the bridges and we can leap from the edges to catch on its fringes. From here, there's one in the head yet again, and one in the palm of its hand. Not easily reached even from up here, but over on its right arm is a minor sigil that causes it to drop its weapon. We can then invite a slap on the ground, grab its palm and stab on that, and fade to black. Except in hard mode, where an especially tricky sigil is added on its left breast. It shakes around almost constantly, so getting down there is a stamina killer. And once the other 15 are defeated, number 16 can be confronted at the far southern edge of the map. The nearest ravine south is one we've used before, and from there the ruins are distant but hard to miss. And finally, number 16. More of a level than a boss, really. It doesn't move, but it's constantly blasting us and forcing us to stay in cover as we approach across the field, using tunnels and walls to get to its feet. From there, its skirt is a pretty straightforward climb, but the waist becomes a puzzle. At the back midpoint is a minor sigil, triggering it to reach back so we can jump onto its left hand. Stabbing the back of the hand makes it examine that area, letting us use it as a bridge to reach another minor sigil up the arm. That brings the right hand over, we do another leap, stab another hand, and when we're lifted, we shoot the soft spot on its other shoulder. Finally, it moves to cover the wound with the very hand we stand upon, and we can mantle the shoulders to the crown and take it down. Or stick this sick time attack trick tactic. Back at the temple, Mono wakes up and it's mission accomplished. After the cops stab us and transform our visage in Dorman's Shadowloss's image, who we actually freed with our Colossicide pilgrimage, and we squish the police before visiting the pool that makes you a baby. Oh, and Agro revived too. Bonus. And finally, that secret bit for grippiest climbers only. At the shrine of worship around the back is some moss growing up the north wall, and with a massive stamina meter, like multiple playthroughs worth since it goes up a smidge with each Colossus killed, we can climb all the way up the wall and along the ledges to a secret garden with some tasty fruit. and, if you want, a 6-minute run back to the beginning gate of the Forbidden Lands at the end of the iconic bridge. Thanks for watching.